Brandon Johnson's back at it again. Oh my goodness. Brandon is back again, y'all. Look at this. As hearings start on how to fill Chicago's projected $1.2 billion 2026 budget gap, officials won't say how much city spent on overtime in 2024. Now, I don't think overtime really, in my opinion, is the worst thing that they need to talk about, the most pressing issue, but I'm sure it definitely has bearing on it for sure, no question about it. But I want to know how much they spend on migrants. But let's go. As Chicago's officials warn that the city is facing one of the most difficult budget years in recent memory, Mayor Johnson, his administration has yet to detail how much the city spent on employee overtime in 24, nor has the city detailed how much it spent in overtime during the first 3 months of 25. Records show. In addition, Johnson's finance team, led by Chief Financial Officer Jill Jaworski and Budget Director Annette Guzman, has yet to account for $175 million pension payment the city made to the Chicago public school employees who are not teachers in the city's 2024 spending plan. Okay. The Chicago Board of Education refused to reimburse the city for the payment despite the mayor's repeated requests. Oh, okay. So they paid too much. And basically, the school board said, holla. Oh, that's crazy. This is so Chicago, man. This is absolutely Chicago. Despite those missing pieces of the city's financial condition, which could add up to $700 million, officials held the first of four budget engagement roundtable designed to gather feedback about the city's 2026 budget on Saturday in Upton. In a video posted on the mayor's social media channels, oh gosh, I'm telling you, social media is not your friend. Stop treating it like it's your friend. Social media is not your homie. I kind of want to see what he posted. Let's check it out real quick. Oh gosh, let's see. Let me see this. Back this up a little bit. We'll probably make this bigger. All right, let me bring this in because I don't think it's showing on y'all's end. Okay, here we go. All right, let's check this out. Here we go.
Hello, Chicago. I'm Mayor Brandon Johnson.
And I'm the city's budget director, Annette Guzman.
We want to invite you to participate in our upcoming budget engagement roundtables. These events are your opportunity to share your thoughts and insights with us to help shape the future of Chicago.
2026 will be one of the most difficult budget years we have faced in recent memory. Tough decisions are ahead, but we're tougher.
My budget will reflect the values of my administration and the values of the residents of our city. But it's going to take all of us to ensure that we maintain the historic investments in affordable housing, behavioral and mental health, and youth employment. We are committed to listening to our communities and prioritizing our residents' vision for our city.
We are collecting input across the city from our budget engagement roundtables to the city's engagement councils, advisory councils, youth and faith-based organizations, organized labor, community groups, and everyday Chicagoans.
So in other words, your feedback matters. Register now for the roundtable discussion that's nearest to you and help us build Chicago's 2026 budget.
These events will be held on Saturday, June 28th from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at Truman College, Monday, June 30th from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at Malcolm X College, Tuesday, July 1st from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at Kennedy King College, and our youth roundtable is Wednesday, July 9th from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Harold Washington Library's Winter Garden.
So thank you in advance for your interest and collaboration in Chicago's budget process. We certainly look forward to working with you.
Interesting. All right, so that's what they're So that's what they're going to be doing. All right, let's bring this back in. In a video posted on the mayor's social media channel, Guzman urged Chicagoans to attend one of the forums to help officials craft ways to bridge a likely deficit of $1.2 billion in Chicago's 26 spending plan, according to the city's most recent budget forecast. 26 will be one of the most difficult budget years we have faced in recent memory. She said that without any problem, though. That was kind of wild. Guzman said, as upbeat music played, tough decisions are ahead for us, but we're tougher. Representatives of Johnson, Guzman, and Jaworski did not respond to detailed questions from WTTW News about why the city has yet to disclose how much it spent in overtime in 24 or how it covered the pension payments for the CPS, Chicago Public School employees, even though 25 is half over. My budget will reflect the values of the administration and values of the residents of our city, Johnson said in a video. But it's going to take all of us to ensure that we maintain historical investments in affordable housing, behavioral and mental health, and youth employment. I don't know, man. This one right here, I'm always wondering, why are you not just encouraging the community to hire the community? Why, like, why is that? Why do you need to have a government program, a city program for youth employment? Why are you not just trying to get the local grocery stores and landscapers and trying to incentivize them to hire youth and get them off the system? Why do you need to do that? Okay. The remaining roundtables will take place at 6. Okay, we already know that. During the first 6 months of 2024, the city spent $129 million on overtime for members of the Chicago Police Department, nearly 30% more than the total amount set aside by the city council as part of the city's 24 budget, according to records obtained by WTTW. Okay, so it spent 30% more, so about like $36 million more than what they anticipated. That's crazy. Okay. All right. Pretty interesting. That put the city on pace to spend at least $258 million in police overtime by the end of 24, even as officials impose limits on overtime for all city departments except for police and the city fire department amid a massive budget crunch. In 23, the Chicago Police Department spent $293 million in overtime, 40% more than 22. Yeah, well, that would make sense. I'm sure if we looked at the crime statistics, it makes a whole lot of sense. A detailed accounting of the $524 million Chicago spent on overtime employees of all departments in 23 was available for public by mid-March 2024, records show. That means the city is more than 3 months behind schedule in providing the data for the 2024 public without explanation. In October, Johnson told News that he had been unable to rein in overtime spending. This is still very much a frustration I have, Johnson said. I've been in conversations with the superintendent, with our budget director, and come up with better systems. Chicago must publish its audited annual financial report for 2024 this week, which will detail how much the Chicago Police Department actually spent last year, but will not detail overtime spending. CPD's budget accounts for approximately 46% of the city's discretionary spending. That's a lot. Wow. Okay. In 23, CPD spent spent a total of $1.86 billion, approximately $154 million more than the city council budgeted, according to the city's audited annual financial report. In all, CPD spent $1.67 billion on personnel costs, exceeding the budget's $88.2 million, even though the department has approximately 1,000 vacant positions, according to the 23 audit. Okay, so I'm wondering, I'm sure they'll probably get into like who is getting the overtime. So would it make more sense to hire, beat cops that are going to be out there in the street versus allowing seasoned cops who probably get paid far more to get that overtime, maybe, instead of just like, let's just get more cops out here. This is wild, man. I don't know how they're going to maintain this. CPD spent 150 million, 150.8 million dollars to resolve lawsuits alleged misconduct and wrongdoing, exceeding its budget by $68.3 million, according to the 23 audit. During the fraud negotiations over the 25 budget, several alderpersons proposed eliminating vacant positions within CPD to avoid a property tax hike by saving approximately $170 million. That proposal was dropped when it became clear that it would make it impossible for CPD to cover its massive overtime bill and cover the rising costs of police misconduct settlements. Halfway through the 25, Chicago taxpayers have spent at least $189.3 million to resolve nearly 2.5 dozen, wow, lawsuits, exceeding the city's budget to resolve lawsuits alleging police misconduct by more than 100 million. City records show, as part of the deal that ensures passage of the 25 budget, the city's budget director is required to give the city council a mid-year report on city finances, begin begin department budget hearings earlier, and offer budget access to financial data. Officials must also notify the city council regularly if money set aside for the city council for one purpose is used for another. And that makes perfect sense. Andre Velasquez, Alderman, 40th Ward, who authored these requirements, said he had no idea how much the city spent in 24 on overtime and how it accounted for the $175 million pension payment officials expected CPS to cover. We can do better than this. Velasquez says there needs to be more transparency. How will Chicago do more with less? Chicago's finances have long been out of whack, pinched by soaring pension costs, spiraling personnel costs, and massive amounts of debt. The city's fiscal stability is also threatened by the crisis facing Chicago's Transit Authority and Chicago Public Schools. Both agencies survived the COVID pandemic with federal financial assistance and must now stand alone after the ravages of the pandemic. If the economy worsens significantly, the projected $1.2 billion gap for 26 could swell to a $1.6 billion gap, according to a forecast. Man, y'all make it sound like that's a small. The 1.2 is bad. Like the 1.2 billion is already crazy work, y'all. For real. Assuming a robust economy, that shortfall could shrink to $634 million in 26, according to the forecast that no one at City Hall believes is likely. The city's financial position is set to worsen since once again in 27 with a likely deficit of $1.3 billion, according to the budget forecast. If the economy worsens significantly, the gap could swell to $1.9 billion, according to the forecast. Like, stop and think, man. That is some crazy work. Yo, y'all gonna have to have a bake sale for real. Under the rosiest scenario, the city's 27 gap could be as small as $703 million. Wow, that's 2 years into the future. And y'all know you're going to be in debt almost. I mean, let's just call it what it is, $2 billion. The dire financial outlook is complicated. Is complicated by President Donald Trump's attempts to revoke all federal funding for Chicago because officials have refused to stop protecting undocumented immigrants from deportation. Trump's efforts amount to terrorism, Johnson said. But y'all are spending all this. I would love to hear, like, how do they square that peg? That the money that you're spending, that you should be spending for Chicagoans is being spent on illegal immigrants, and the president wants to get those people out, but you want to keep those people in so you can spend more money on them. Man, I don't know how they square that peg at all. In an effort to avoid repeating the mistakes that plagued the 25 budget negotiations, Johnson formed a working group in April and charged members with crafting solutions for the city's fiscal crisis. Number one, get rid of the illegals. There you go. That'll fix a lot of the problem. The working group's recommendations are due to the mayor on August 31st. Okay, this is for the 25 budget. Yep. Typically, when the process of crafting the city's budget for the next year begins in earnest after the publication of the department's budget forecast. The spokesperson for the mayor did not respond to the request from WTTW News for the update about the efforts of the working group, which is led by Loop Capital's Jim Reynolds, and includes representatives of Chicago's business community, nonprofit organizations, civil organizations, labor groups, and the city council. But even if the working group recommends the city council hikes taxes, it is far from assured that alder people, please forgive me, will approve the spending plan that forces their constituents to dig deeper into their wallets. But if the 26 spending plan relies on the city's 25 budget, as the city's 25 budget did, on a one-time fixes to fill the gap, Chicago could suffer another downgrade in its credit rating, making it much more expensive for the city to borrow money. Wow. The first test of Johnson's ability to push his fiscal proposals through the city council is already on tap, even though the city council has 6 months to craft and pass the 26 spending plan. After state lawmakers ended the state's 1% grocery tax at Governor Pritzker's request, it gave municipalities the option to levying and collecting the tax on its own. To avoid blowing the additional $80 million in the hole, the city's 26 budget, Johnson asked the city council to vote to keep the tax in place before the October 1st deadline. More than 150 cities and villages have done just that, ensuring their shoppers' grocery bill won't change on January 1st, 26, keeping tax dollars flowing to the local governments. Wow. All right. And I'm going to leave the link to this because there's actually the budget forecast for 24 as well as for 25 is down at the bottom. So I'm going to actually leave that down in the description. So, man, what is Brandon going to do? What is he going to do, Brandon? This is just getting bad. This is getting bad, Brandon. I hate it for you, brother. But boy, you deserve it. You absolutely, positively deserve it. And Chicago, you deserve better. Y'all better get some better candidates up there and run some better candidates. Let's see what happens. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Please let me know about this budget, especially if you live in Chicagoland. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Please don't forget to like the video. That helps get this video out. Share it to all your people and all your friends. And also, please, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. We look forward to adding you to the DWC family, and we'll soon be celebrating 50,000 subscribers. So looking forward to doing that real soon. So until then, everybody, grace and peace.